Hey everyone, this is Andrew Len, and I'm going to talk about God. I'm going to talk about it from this perspective of a physicist, from the perspective of someone who knows, understands, and has seen him. I'm going to talk to you from a perspective that doesn't invoke magic or some of these other unreal explanations of God. We're going to talk to him in reality. So, and we're going to do it in a shorter in a much shorter and abbreviated segment. If you want to see much more in-depth discussion about God's existence, then please check out the video that I have on my main account, because this one can't take that longer version. In the short of it, if you assume that there's only one God, which is a legitimate assumption, then you would have to assume that all of the other gods are wrong, and that's not necessarily true. What it is true is that all different understandings of God are not true. Okay. These different understandings are just kind of like different lenses that people look. So all these other different religions out there will have their different lenses to see the same God, because they can't see him clearly. They can't see him the way he is. It's understandable because he's omniscient and we're not. We're quite foolish and limited in knowledge, so how can we possibly understand him? Okay, so does he exist? If you're not looking in the right place, you're not going to see the right thing. And magicians use this to their advantage. Now, they intentionally mislead and distract you, but even if you're not being misled or distracted, which we probably are, if you just simply don't know what to look for, you won't be able to see the thing you're looking for. In the case in the military, when you're looking for targets, they tend to be camouflaged on purpose to blend in. And how are you going to spot the target? The target can fire at you all day long until you understand how to find it and fire back. You won't see it. The same thing with God. You don't know what you're looking for. You don't know that he exists. And like a tree in the Amazon, if you've never seen it, it can still exist, even if you haven't seen it. Even if you say, oh, the odds are impossible, none of the evidence that I consider to be legitimate exists for that tree. This tree can still exist. And it can do so just fine. It doesn't need your approval. And the same thing with God. God can still exist. He doesn't need your approval. Creator of the universe, why should he have to be accountable to you, to report into you in the forms and the ways that you require? It's kind of arrogant, actually, to talk about and think about God in that kind of way. So what are ways that God could exist and we don't see him? Well, he's omniscient. He's got technology. He understands how things work. And if he wants to, he can hide himself from us. I mean, does he fly spaceships? Does he build spaceships, right? I mean, he's omniscient. He knows everything. And yet we see pictures of UFOs all day long and we don't bat an eye, right? Some people will dismiss them, say they're all fake, but not really come up with good proofs that they couldn't possibly be real, and other people will believe them. But then the same lines say, but God doesn't exist. Wow. What if God is flying that spaceship? What if his angel is flying that spaceship? Okay. The short of the answer is God does exist. He has an immortal body. He's perfect, omniscient. And he understands technology far beyond what we do. He does things with his advanced knowledge and technology that look like magic to us. And so we call them magic. Doesn't mean it is magic. Doesn't mean it's not real. It doesn't even mean that we're necessarily being deceived, though. For his purposes, he might intentionally deceive us in order to, or allow us to deceive ourselves, I should say, in order to lead us in the right way. So, yeah, I mean, he's got an agenda, obviously, goodness, and he's all wise and understands how everything he does helps us to understand him better and come to him. So, yeah, does God exist? Absolutely. We have tons of evidence that he exists. We have witnesses, people who have seen him like me, people who have heard him like me and received wisdom that's far beyond what any mortal person could understand. Okay, far beyond our current understandings and experience. People who have seen visions, who have seen revelations and prophecies, who have seen things happen well in advance of when they happened. I've seen some pretty crazy things. 9/11, back in 1994, I saw 9/11. Yeah, that was something right there. So yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. And, so does there have to be one religion? That's God religion? Well, obviously. But does that mean, because, God has a certain way of doing things. He has things that are declared sin. And, if you deviate from that with your own religion, with your own values, maybe you say, well, I think that this is right and that's wrong. And then what you say goes against what God says. Only one of you can be right. Okay. God's omniscient, so he kind of, has the advantage, falls in his court on that one. But yeah, of course there's one religion. But the thing I don't like is that people assume that everything from every other religion is wrong. And that's not true. God does reveal things to different peoples and in different religions in his own ways. So not everything in all the other religions are false. Not everyone in all those other religions are going to be condemned to hell. God's a lot wiser than that. He plays 3D chess, as we say. He can handle for people having different religions. Obviously, he wants everyone to follow his ways. But then again, no one can understand perfectly his ways. So he creates a church and reveals things through his leaders that get us as close as we're able to accept to his ways. And, we can get distracted with all these other ways, all these other churches, but in the end, we can get some good out of those other religions and other thinkings, but they're not his ways. And we can get confused and we can say, oh, these things don't make sense. They're not right. And they aren't, right? All these other religions aren't all right. So it's upon us to find what is right and to use God to help us. All right. So, yeah. I hope that helps you to understand better about the question of does God exist? I think the evidence is overwhelming. Just don't expect God to submit to a DNA test. He is the creator of the universe, after all, and that would be quite arrogant and unnecessary. Yeah. I wouldn't do that if I was God or the president or whatever. It's like, seriously, who do you think you are? So let's a little bit more humble about this, and maybe try to open our minds and see what God has revealed, what evidence does exist. All right. Thanks for watching, and see you guys.